With the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
Welcome to Back to the Frame Rate, part of the Weston Media Podcast Network. Back to the Frame Rate, where we watch and discuss films on VOD and streaming platforms for your entertainment. I'm your host, Nathan Schur, and I'm here with Ellie Escobar and Sam Cole.
Woo!
Welcome.
Hello,
back.
hello.
I said that just like John Malkovich in The Line of Fire. And he's like, woo, woo, and he's like watching the president in the audience all creepily. Yeah.
That's a deep cut there, Sam. That's awesome. Ellie, I love your hat. I mentioned this before we started, but I feel like it's perfect day to be wearing that. You didn't get I don't think you understood what I was talking about, but Nicholas Hoult, I think, is just cast in the new Superman movie as Lex Luthor. But you're telling me that's not in honor of that casting, which is a disappointment.
No, I just really like Superman.
On a much happier note, the Marvels rebounded at the box office this weekend.
About 9 million?
Huge hit by dropping 80%, the worst fall off in Marvel's history. So
I'm gonna see it on Wednesday because I have not ever missed any of the MCU movies in the theater. So I
want to see it too. Yeah,
I'm gonna go. But I almost went last week, but I think a better movie instead. I think we might both mention it in our in a movie musings later in the show, Sam. But let's get to this week, what we're going to be discussing. I think this is going to be a good one. Ellie, where'd you go?
I'm here.
For our non-video watchers, Ellie just disappeared for a moment. But
just wanted to see if you were paying attention.
We're always paying attention. We're always watching. We are watching the 1989 movie Black Rain from Ridley Scott. And I have a trailer queued up here. This is a glorious trailer. Check this one out.
A New York City cop on the trail of a killer. From the back alleys of Manhattan
Well, our victims are certainly Yakuza.
to the streets of Japan.
Because of your negligence, the man we wanted for a long time has been lost.
Now, come on, we'll take some of the heat for this, but we're not taking the rap.
Rap?
You see, there's a war going on here between Sato and an old-time boss named Sugai. And they don't take prisoners.
So where's your boss? This isn't New York. We have rules here.
I've seen Sato's work, okay? He ain't following your program.
You are foreigners. Nothing more than interested observers.
No one's gonna help a Gaijin.
Gaijin?
You're a barbarian, a foreigner. Me and you. More you.
Try to work like a Japanese.
Now, this is good. This ain't money. You got a counterfeiting war going on, guys.
I had to cut it off, but this is such a classic 80s trailer. Beautiful. Yeah. And so anyways, like I said, 1989, Black Rain. I'm going to read a brief plot synopsis from the internet. 2 New York cops get involved in a gang war between members of the Yakuza, the Japanese mafia. They arrest one of the killers and are ordered to escort him back to Japan. In Japan, however, he manages to escape. As they try to track him down, they get deeper and deeper into the Japanese mafia scene, and they have to learn that they can only win by playing the game the Japanese way. That about sums it up. You know what? We're going to get to your movie facts in a moment, Sam, but as I'm watching this, all I'm thinking to myself, damn, I just want to make a movie now titled 80s Cop.
Oh, that's a good title. Yeah.
Because this movie is just like so stereotypical, like 80s cop movie trope over and over and over and over.
That movie needs to start with like a car pulling up in the rain with that song, like The Ghost Inside You, that 80s song, like a man inside me, ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Coming down with you, the news of the day. And then he like comes out and there's a shootout and it's like 80s Cop, you know?
Yeah. It would be a parody though, you know?
Oh yeah.
So, Sam, enlighten us with some movie facts.
So tonight we are discussing Black Rain, 1989 film directed by Ridley Scott. This actually falls under the category of a neo-noir film. And even though technically all the films that we've watched fall under that category, what neo-noir means is it takes sensibilities from noir films, but adds kind of a modern spin to it. Couple interesting notes. Jackie Chan was actually offered the role of the villain Sato, but he turned it down because he felt that audiences wouldn't want to see him as a vicious villain. I can understand that. I kind of disagree because I just think it would have been awesome to see Jackie Chan like do crazy stunts and be terrifying. Anyway, so this was directed by Ridley Scott. The cinematographer was Jan de Bont.
I was so happy seeing his name come up on the screen.
That was awesome. That. Yeah, and oh no, what were you going to say, Nathan? Sorry.
I just remember he was the man in the 90s for a while.
Oh yeah, as we all know, he did like
Twister
and and so it was cool. And interestingly enough, Jan de Bont actually replaced a previous cinematographer, who, and I have his name here.
It was Howard Atherton.
Howard Atherton, who was really struggling with the difficult conditions of shooting in Japan. Long story short, there was a lot of red tape shooting in Japan. They managed to shoot in Osaka. Ridley Scott vowed never to shoot in Japan again. He was so frustrated. At one scene, they were actually shooting in a steel mill in Japan, and a security guard just put his hand right on the lens of the camera, citing some regulation. I cannot imagine seeing Ridley Scott's anger in that moment. I would not have wanted to been in that room. So interestingly enough, the final chase sequence on the motorcycle was actually shot in Napa Valley, California. I did not know that. But interestingly enough, one thing I wanted to add: music by Hans Zimmer, and of course, Michael Douglas was in the film, and Harrison Ford and Kurt Russell were actually considered for his role, but he had a really positive relationship with the producers. I don't know if this movie would have been a Harrison Ford movie, but Kurt Russell I could see doing the role absolutely.
You know what? You're killing me, Sam, because I was going to mention later on if we were going to recast this movie. I didn't know Kurt Russell was considered for this, but I could totally see Kurt Russell in this movie, and I think it would have been so much better. I'm kind of spoiling a little bit what I was going to say about my opinions of Michael Douglas in this movie, because I think he is an interesting choice.
I think he may have been better too, and I'll definitely comment on Michael Douglas in my review. But lastly, I will say I can't prove this, but so. They were forced to the steel mill scene. They were forced to finish shooting at a place called California Steel's Industry in Fontana, which is the same steel mill that Terminator 2 shot in.
Is it?
It's the exact same place. And I don't know this for a fact, but I would be willing to bet $1,000 on this. James Cameron is a big Ridley Scott film fan. And he said often how much he likes Ridley Scott's film and watches all of them, the good and the bad. Terminator 2 started filming in 1990, but Cameron had 6 weeks in 1989 to throw the script of Terminator 2 together. I swear, and I can't prove this unless I talk to James Cameron, which is not going to happen right now. There's no articles about this. I swear that he was writing that script, and I'm wondering if he saw Black Rain, loved the visuals, saw the fiery molten lava, and went, aha, I got an NT2 and a steel mill, and got the inspiration from that, and then called up Ridley, and then Ridley was like, funnily enough, we actually shot at this place in California, blah, blah, blah. So I think James Cameron got the idea by watching Black Rain. There's no articles on that. I don't know if the timing lines up, but it just is so it's to me, it's like, I swear this happened in my mind's eye, so I could be wrong. That is the basic production info. Difficulty in Japan, but they finished in California. There were some Japanese not major characters, but bit parts that they had to renegotiate with the actors. They could not come back to Los Angeles, so they cast lookalikes. So moving from Japan to California provided real problems. But lastly, I'll say this was actually a box office hit. It cost $30 million, and worldwide in 1989 made $134 million.
That's really good. Yeah.
Damn profitable. I did not know that. I didn't think it bombed, but that is a bigger movie than I thought it was. Came out in September of 1989 after the legendary summer of Batman, Lethal Weapon 2, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, and many, many more.
By the way, also edited by Tom Rolfe, who is the editor for The Great Outdoors.
No way. Yes. The Great Outdoors is not a high quality film, but I love it, and it is stupid, but I will always enjoy it, and I will always watch it. I have a soft spot for The Great Outdoors.
We're going to always tie everything into The Great Outdoors, I think. All right. Thank you, Sam, for the movie facts. Let's get into our thoughts on this film. Ellie, I'm going to hand it over to you for this.
Oh,
yeah. You're ready, right? How? First of all, I need to ask you: have you seen this before?
No,
of course not.
Of course not. This is not my genre.
Were you aware of this? Were you aware of this movie before?
Never.
So you're walking into this fresh.
Okay.
What are your thoughts on Michael Douglas?
Oh, okay. Michael Douglas is not handsome at all. When you look at Andy Garcia and then you look at Michael Douglas, there's nothing that he has going on for him.
He's kind of got a pruny face at this point in his career.
Yeah. He thinks he's all that though. First of all, he yelled a lot in this film, and it's like, dude, do you really have to do the overacting? There's no need.
Angry's 80 Cop, like from start to finish.
I don't know. I guess I never really watched too many angry cop films in the 80s. I was more of a, 16 Candles, The Breakfast Club kind of, person. But anyway, so didn't like the yelling. Loved Andy Garcia in this film. I love his outfit. I love his face. I love his funniness. I love that he's like, the rookie. I even like the Asian man that worked with him. I thought he was pretty cool. Especially when he was like doing the martial arts.
Yeah, Masahiro.
Yeah.
And Takakura is the actor that plays Assistant Inspector Matsumoto. He was great.
Matsumoto. And I really loved that. I love that. I love the motorcycle scenes because, as you know, I grew up. I practically was born in a motorcycle. Yeah. And I've been riding motorcycles with my dad since I was like 1 day old. So and I'm not kidding you either. Yeah, that was our method of transportation. But I love the motorcycle scenes. The bad guy made me feel like I wanted to do really bad stuff to him. This movie in general, of all the films that we've been watching so far, I wanted to really get into this film. I really did. But then all of a sudden, when they go to this dark place where they're having some kind of a deal, the Asian men are having some type of a deal, and it's like a factory or something.
Oh, the
Oh,
steel mill, yeah.
it was so damn annoying. Like the dink, dink, I mean, it's just a bunch of sounds like
Got
siren.
nominated for best sound editing
No, it did not.
for the Oscars. Yeah, 60-second Oscars.
It's
Yeah,
just like
I had to interrupt because the perfect time to place that was like it did, and the sound that you didn't like in the steel mill, by the way, was woo woo.
oh my god! And I'm like this, I'm just gonna strangle myself watching this film because it's like the only parts that I really like is when the Asian man was in the scene. I really like his character. I like that he brought this side of uh, the value of what it is to be a good cop. You know, um,
Mhm.
and there wasn't really much to it. But I mean, except for I don't know. I don't even know. I can't. I am so glad this is over. I'm seriously done with
You're
this
ready for
film.
holiday movies. I know.
There were some good five scenes. Um, no, there weren't. What am I saying? No, we're not. I'm not even gonna. No. So if you want me to rate this film, I'm gonna
I
say
do.
I give it. I gotta be nice because of Andy Garcia. I'll give it a 2.
A 2.
It's
Okay.
2 stars. And that's it. I have nothing else to say about this film because nothing about this film I enjoy it except Andy Garcia's and watching him and his gorgeous face. And he made the film for a little bit. In fact, I was really into the film up until he died. Then I
Yeah.
was like, forget it. I don't care for it anymore.
It is interesting the structure of this where when he is taken out in this movie, it's exactly halfway through the movie.
I was
And-
pretty pissed about that.
Yeah, it's unusual that you would take his character out at this point.
Yeah, I was
at
pretty
that
pissed. I'm
point,
like, did you really kill the only person that I was actually connecting to in this film? They did.
They did. They went there. Yeah.
It follows the Save the Cat screenplay format where it's like at the halfway mark of the film, the plot changes. It's like the 50% mark is his death, and it's like then the vices tighten
Truly,
in.
Michael Douglas partners with Andy Garcia in the first half. In the second half, he's partnering with Moss, and Moss is not as nearly as attractive man as Andy Garcia.
It's not. But what Moss brings to the picture is his groundedness. He grounded the picture for me in a way that his moral conviction of being a good cop, and I kind of felt bad for him, and but at the same time I felt like he's gonna put Michael Douglas in his place. Somebody has to, and I feel like he did. But also,
does he?
Yes, he does, because he gave him the plates at the end.
We're gonna get to
Right?
it, but
he could have stolen the plates or something. But by the way, I knew at the beginning of the movie that those men were not the real cops. I just knew it. I knew it.
Well,
When they were like
sleazy,
exchanging the prisoner.
Yeah.
And there was one guy that I'm like, oh, these are not real cops. Come on, don't be dumb. I can tell they're not the real cops. So yeah.
Okay.
Last film. Thank you.
Well, until next November, Ellie.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
No, really? Oh my god. I quit. I quit.
We'll see where we get there. All right. Thank you, Ellie. Sam, how about you? What would you like? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
So for me, what's interesting is with the other movies we reviewed, I try to give them reviews that are sort of like outside of my own perspective with trying to acknowledge them for their quality. And what's interesting about Black Rain is of all the films we watched this month, this is the only one that I would watch if it appeared on television in a hotel room. The other movies I would just change the channel, but Black Rain I would watch several times. For me, here's the thing about this movie. Like I think that the story and the screenplay, maybe it's kind of paint by numbers action plot. But I think what's interesting is Ridley Scott like douses it with as many snazzy camera angles and lighting and style as he can. So it makes you feel like you're watching something that is possibly more heightened than it actually is. And so I don't think it transcends any of the genre. I don't think it's great. I think it's entertaining, but it feels a bit like a dour Lethal Weapon Japan. You know what I mean? Like it's
I mean,
kind of,
Sam, I forgot the screenplay. I'm thinking there's only 10 sentences on that screenplay. Was there?
No, I mean,
Only like 10 lines. There wasn't really a dialogue, much to the screenplay. It was just
there's
like
dialogue, but it's more like it's just more like the story is a bit paint by numbers. And so I enjoyed this movie. I would give it like a solid 3 stars because I am entertained.
Whoa.
I'm entertained when I'm watching it. But it doesn't transcend the genre. One thing that Roger Ebert said about it, he said that it doesn't take the opportunity to examine a kind of fish out of water thing.
Right.
When they get to Japan. And the thing about Michael Douglas is he's so one note. He's and then he gets to Japan and he's like the same. The thing about Michael Douglas is I love Michael Douglas. I think Falling Down, the Joel Schumacher film, is his best performance, and he thinks it's best in this movie. No disrespect to Michael Douglas, but he plays it. I just get this feeling that he thinks he's cooler than he is.
Yes.
Where he's like, I'm a badass in this movie. And it comes across really kind of like
comes across in that poster.
It comes across in the poster, and I love Michael Douglas, but there's a kind of one note element where he's so pissed and he's so aggressive and he's just kind of angry that I find it unintentionally funny in some scenes. I mean, there's one scene where like he's talking to someone and they're not cooperating with him, so he like headbutts the guy. And then he's like, "What did I do? That was really funny." But I just don't. It doesn't quite land for me, his performance, and so I like the action and I like this. Okay, but this movie is like it has half its feet in like a Lethal Weapon, let's make a summer blockbuster, even though it came out in September. It has another foot in film noir.
Wood-legged.
Yeah, and so the movie,
and really Scott did this, so it definitely has that whole like Blade Runner like vibe for it as well.
Yeah,
Heavily.
and I love the look. I love the look. I love Kate Capshaw. I like the cinematography. It just the movie doesn't quite land in either genre that it's dabbling in, so the result is kind of a middling film that I'm entertained by, that I would watch again, but it's just not, it does not rise up to the level of greatness. So I would give it a solid 3 stars. I enjoy it. I like the supporting cast. I think I forgot to mention this, but the guy that played Sato, who has played Sato, Yosaku Matsuda, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. He actually was sick with cancer during the production and died. And this is his last film. I was like really sad about that. But it's one of those things where Ridley Scott is such a great visualist, and he's applying top level visuals to a somewhat mediocre story that's okay, but it just doesn't. I'd almost prefer it was totally film noir or 100% Lethal Weapon mayhem, and it's just kind of in the middle. That's my general assessment. But I'd give it 3 stars because I have watched it a couple times. I know it has a cult following, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy myself while watching it, and I find it amusing. And because of my upbringing, I'm always going to have a soft spot for 80s and 90s action and kind of testosterone. And like when him and Andy Garcia decide that they have to be like involved in checking out Sato's hideout, so they like jump onto the bus and show their IDs. They're like, we're coming along. Like that was, the movie is amusing to me. But not great. 3 stars, but entertaining, middling. Cool. Yeah.
So my thoughts, so like we said before, this was shot by Jan de Bont. And like I said earlier, I forgot about this, and I got the biggest smile on my face when I saw his name in the opening credits. I actually screamed out, Jan, because I'm a big fan of his work. He was a cinematographer on Die Hard and Hunt for Red October and Flatliners. He was the man for a while in the 90s in Hollywood. And honestly, when I compare his cinematography in this picture to those other films, this might be his crowning achievement as far as cinematography.
That's incredible. Yeah.
Don't get me wrong. Those are much better films. But whatever him and Ridley Scott were going for as far as a visual aesthetic, it absolutely worked for me. The look of this film, the texture of everything, the smoke and the steam that fills the spaces, it's gorgeous. They filmed in some amazing locations around Japan, in Tokyo and Osaka. Even the scenes in New York I thought were awesome. Ridley Scott mentions in the director's commentary that those scenes were inspired by the French Connection, actually. I actually went back and I listened to the entire director's commentary. So wonderful commentary track if anyone ever has a chance to listen to it. Jan as a director, another discussion. Speed and Twister are a lot of fun, but there are some stinkers in his filmography. We're not here to talk about that. That's another podcast.
Are you kidding me? The House on Haunted Hill was incredible. Just kidding.
The Haunting.
That's right.
So anyways, I gotta say, so while I'm watching this, I gotta say how much I miss the way movies were made in the 80s and 90s, especially this action thriller genre. Cop films. They're so...
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Unapologetically violent and dark in their tone.
I know. I love it.
I know. Everything is so dirty and grungy. And I feel like if this movie were made today, it would be shot in 12K and have the sanitary feel to it. It would also never dare to have this movie's pacing. And it probably wouldn't have the guts to kill off one of the main protagonists halfway through the film, because test audiences would have revolted because the actor would have been played by Zac Efron and he can't die in a movie.
I hear you. I read a whole article on Screen Rant saying how, like, well, Raiders of the Lost Ark is too violent for modern audiences and it's not sensitive enough. And I was like, all right, Screen Rant, unfollow.
But overall, I feel this is still not top tier Ridley Scott, but it's still good. And I do, I know there is like a cult following to this, but I do feel like it's dismissed mostly as just another cop action thriller from the late 80s, early 90s, which at the time, Hollywood was turning out so many of these. And I think this just kind of got thrown onto the heap of a lot of other films. I think a lot of people don't even know that this is a Ridley Scott movie. It just kind of got dismissed. A couple years later, there's another film titled Rising Sun that I couldn't help compare this to. I like it considerably more. It's a different story, but it deals in a similar way with American and Japanese relations surrounding a murder. I know we're not in a recommendation self segment here, but I'm just thinking out loud, and it's just another movie that came to mind that's reminded me of this, and I like it a little bit more.
That's based off a Michael Crichton novel, isn't it? I think it is. Yeah.
It is, yeah.
That's a good movie. Yeah.
Yeah. But Black Rain, good movie, probably more style over substance for my taste. Technically, no, all that much I can say that's wrong with this but the pacing could have been a little bit better. And I wish the character of Michael Douglas, where he plays Detective Conklin, had a better arc. And I'm going to get into the arc a little bit more in our discussion. But I loved Kate Capshaw and Ken was it Takura, and the other guy that plays Sato, who, like we said, he passed away shortly after this. He is such an awesome villain. 80s villains are so good, and he is way up there. I think the score by Hans Zimmer is cheesy, synthy, but it's solid, not his best. But I enjoyed this movie enough. And I'm glad I had a chance to revisit it after probably over 30 years. It's been a long time, but still I'm giving this 3 stars because I am going to get into my real gripes about this movie. And it has to do with Michael Douglas and his character of Detective Conklin, because I think his character is a very, very flawed the way he is written. And that I have a big problem with it.
I will say really quickly that I hear you about 80s and 90s action movies. I just miss seeing those movies where there's like real cars, real like explosions, there's dirt, there's grime. Like we were talking about the CGI and the sanitized thing. I feel like these days they'd be like, well, we didn't want to put the actors in harm, so we created a CGI motorcycle and some CGI actors, and we got Bob Blurg to like do a mock-up of the bridge. But this movie had like stunt actors racing motorcycles and crashing, and I miss that. I miss the grit, and that's why I go back and I watch the Lethal Weapon movies, because there's like gasoline and fire all over the place, and I love them.
Sam, when you were starting it sounded like you were doing your George Lucas impersonation at first.
Well, the thing is too, it's not cost effective. It's not cost effective anymore. When I was creating Jar Jar, everybody hated it, and they hated him so much that when Episode 2 came out, I wanted to name it Jar Jar's Big Adventure, and nobody laughed. Nobody laughed.
Okay, so let's get into this a little bit more. I think I brought this up before. I want to talk about Michael Douglas in his casting and his role, because I think this is my biggest gripe with this, and I'm just going to throw this out there. Let me catch up to my notes here. Finally, well-oiled machine here. So his character of Nick Conklin, you said this. You love Michael Douglas. I think he is one of our greatest actors of the last 40 years. I really do think that. He's so much fun to watch.
Really?
I do. I really do.
Oh.
I think he is. I can't think of a film I've watched where he's really turned in a bad performance. I don't think this is a bad performance. I think the problem is with how his character is written. And I also think he's somewhat miscast in this.
Yeah.
And it's not his fault. He's doing exactly what I would kind of expect and want from him. He's a delight. I'm going to circle back to this in a moment about casting. But my biggest issue with Detective Conklin is with his character arc. Nick is a bull in a china shop throughout this movie. Yeah. This is a fish out of water story. Nick is in Japan. He's a tough as nails New York cop, doesn't take crap from no one because it's just the way things get done in New York. And he's paired up, eventually with Moss, played by Ten Takakura, who I think is amazing in this. And by the way, was a huge star in Japan at the time, but he plays by the rules. And these two men don't see eye to eye, on police procedure in the slightest. And they don't really even like each other. In fact, Moss, when he discovers, this terrible thing that Nick did back in New York, doesn't want anything to do with him after he finds this out. But Moss grows as a character and begins to understand who Nick is and why he is the way he is. And he starts off as a stuck-up guy. Even Charlie can get him up on a stage to loosen him up by singing Ray Charles in this awesome scene. So I love how Moss develops as a character throughout this movie. And on the contrary, Nick doesn't change at all. He remains this pig-headed, ignorant American who, from the same way he was in the beginning of the film, he doesn't immerse himself in Japanese culture. He doesn't learn really anything from Moss. He doesn't grow as a character. And I think that's a major problem with him and this film. And it detracts from the film for me. What do you guys think?
I could not agree more. Because I like Michael Douglas a lot too. I think it's the writing where it's kind of one note. And I think there could have been more of a character arc. I mean, I liked his history with how he stole some money to pay for his like family and like the sort of corrupt cop stuff. But the problem is it's so one note throughout that I would have preferred to see him in New York and see him get to Japan and be so outmatched by the world of Japan that he, creates an arc or has an understanding or changes, but he's just burp, 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 burp. And unintentionally, his kind of flat-footedness amuses me throughout the movie because he's so aggressive that he's like consistently a jerk without nuance, and it's funny to me because you just want to say, God, just chill for a second, man. So I totally agree, and I think it's the writing, and I think he did the best he could, and I think he was miscast, and honestly, Kurt Russell
was he really miscast though? Because there are real human beings who have no arc.
That's true, but it's the
but in this kind of movie,
the movie, an arc would have made it better.
Even in this movie, there are I think that he's portraying that type of human that will never change. It stays the same no matter what situation, what scene, where he is. He's gonna be the same jerk, the same. He's gonna talk the same. There's no changing that person.
I get that. That is oftentimes how people are, and I can applaud that in many movies, not necessarily in late 80s, early 90s, like cop action movies where I wouldn't expect that. And I don't think that works for this kind of movie. Maybe in a P.T. Anderson movie that works or something,
Yeah, and this cop genre, it's like I almost feel like Kurt Russell as Snake Plissken could have shown up and been like, I'm looking for Sato.
I was thinking about what other it's funny. I didn't even know that Kurt Russell was even considered for this, and he was the first person I thought of that may have been, because he kind of has that snarky, attitude about this. I was thinking about other actors, late 80s. I thought of two other names that maybe Nick Nolte, maybe, I don't know. Now another name is not a popular person right now, but I could have seen James Woods doing this back in the late 80s.
He could have done that, yeah.
Absolutely. James Woods on the motorcycle.
I don't see Kurt Russell.
1989, James Woods, sunglasses, badge on that motorcycle. He would have been badass in this movie.
He would have been, and I think Kurt Russell could have done the arc where you see heart under his toughness, and his relationship with the Japanese cop would have shown through. I think Michael Douglas could have done that as well, but again, it comes back to what you're saying, Nathan, is it's not in the writing of the character. Yeah. So he doesn't have the arc, so it's like, well, that's what it is.
And
so
last name, Rick Moranis.
Rick Moranis.
I'm only kidding about that.
If he was riding on the motorcycle, he'd be like,
yeah. So a few other thoughts.
I do like Michael Douglas though in the television series that he just it just ended actually. He's
you were mentioning the Kaminsky method?
The Kaminsky method, yeah. I did like him in that show. He did a really great job. So
I like Michael Douglas's Instagram a lot because he'll just post videos where he's like, I hope you guys have a good weekend and, have fun and you deserve it. And I'm always like, thanks, Michael. I appreciate that. Because he does. He just wishes people happy weekends a lot. Yeah.
Kate Capshaw. Now, I think I have only seen her in Temple of Doom. I mean, she's been in a couple other things like Dreamscapes, Space Camp, Just Cause. I know I've seen these movies somewhere along the line. I cannot recall, but I was so impressed with this. And I think that she is one of the MVPs of this movie. She plays Joyce, the nightclub hostess, who is a very interesting character in this. It seems that her character is in a compromised position being this hostess. She can't overtly be seen helping Nick with the case, or the Yakuza would find out. And I don't know if she would lose her comfy job there or something much worse. What I didn't buy at all was the kiss at the end of the film. Was there some romantic chemistry that was missing between her and Nick? I don't know. That felt very, very tacked on. But overall, I just want to say Kate Capshaw, solid supporting performance here, which I never expected.
I don't know this actress, really.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Lucky Land Casino, asking people, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
Lucky? In line at the deli, I guess?
Aha, in my dentist's office. More than once, actually.
Do I have to say?
Yes, you do.
In the car before my kids' PTA meeting.
Really?
Yes.
Excuse me, what's the weirdest place you've gotten lucky?
I never win and tell.
Well, there you have it. You can get lucky anywhere, playing at LuckyLandSlots.com. Play for free right now. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
No. But Sam, what did you think?
But I did love her hair.
I liked her a lot because I'm so used to her Temple of Doom performance that it's because I haven't seen her in many other films, so it's fascinating to see her as a completely different character. And I just think she's a really good actress. And I just humorously, because she and Steven Spielberg didn't get married until 1991, but I pictured they were probably dating by this point. So I pictured them
married to Steven Spielberg.
Oh yeah, and
I didn't know that.
I pictured her and Steven Spielberg like going to see this in the theater and talking about it afterwards, and her being like, "Steve, what did you think?" He'd be like, "Wow, Ridley's the lighting was great. That that wide angle shot that they use when the push and the pull, that was a good picture. It was a good picture." And I'm a huge fan of Steven Spielberg, by the way. I love it.
No, you don't say.
You don't say, but yeah, no, I just thought she was. I completely bought her in her performance, and she just fit well into that nightclub, and like that's a strong compliment for me because she just inhabited the character. If an actor does not inhabit the character, or if they draw attention to themselves in a way that is detrimental to the film, then it's like a glaring thing for me. To me, she just.
You mean like Michael Douglas?
She belonged in the world of that film.
I thought she was fantastic. And I also thought it helped that incredible black backless dress that she's wearing in the first two scenes of the nightclub. It's got that meshy, something about it is reflecting the light.
Nathan.
Probably has the sequence sewn into it. It rides up around her neck. I don't, it was, you know what, we're going to get to our best wardrobe outfits for the Film Noir awards, and I had to consider that because that was one of my favorite outfits that anybody wore in this series of films.
I'm on your page 100%.
Unless it wasn't white, because everybody else has been wearing white in every scene.
Oh yeah. So, let's see. Any other things that we can mention here? We talked about Andy. Oh, we have to talk about Andy Garcia and his performance as Detective Charlie Vincent. A couple of thoughts here. I've come around a little bit on this because at first I was thinking, this is not a real person. He is way too optimistic. He's too green to be working alongside this hard-nosed partner and Nick. Throughout all these horrible things that they are encountering, he had this like wry smile throughout, and he's cracking jokes. I felt like he didn't fit into this world. But honestly, the more I thought about it, he did offer, levity that this film really did need. And his performance was still a lot of fun. I love this phase of Andy's career. Between this, Untouchables, and Internal Affairs is right around the corner as well. Mm. In the director's commentary, the scene where he is, I think, at the nightclub singing with Moss, Ridley Scott says that afterwards is the day that he learned that he was cast in The Godfather 3 as well.
Oh, he must have been really happy.
Yeah, so he's up on there like, yeah. But I think he's really good in Godfather 3 as well. I think this is my favorite period of Andy Garcia's career. So, anyways, I think I came around on him. At first, I was like not digging it, but it is a necessary part of this.
I came around on him. If I would say just one thing about Ridley Scott's direction, in my opinion, Ridley Scott's best movie will always be Alien, because for me that everything fires on all thrusters. Sometimes with Ridley Scott, not all the times, his aesthetic beauty and the way he shoots things somewhat removes me from the visceral experience of the storytelling sometimes. And so when I'm watching the motorcycle chases or the action scenes, I feel so much attention to the composition and the lenses that I don't necessarily feel connected into the energy of what's going on screen in the way that someone like Richard Donner, albeit not as much of a visualist as Ridley Scott, puts me right in if it's like Lethal Weapon, I mean, a totally different genre, but like Lethal Weapon or like Lethal Weapon 2, I'm like in the moments. I feel this kinetic energy. And sometimes Ridley Scott, at his best, he's incredible. At his worst or his mediocre, I just feel this kind of painterly sense of removal where he's using these kind of long lenses and I don't feel as attached to the material. And that happens to me in watching this movie, where it makes me feel a little bit removed, even though I still enjoyed it. But so like the set pieces are fine, but I don't feel kinetic energy when I'm watching that. And I wish the movie just had a little bit more sugar in it or something like that. Just a feeling I get when watching the film.
Did you feel the kinetic energy during Andy Garcia's death scene? What did you think of that?
I felt that. I felt that a lot more because that scene was less about kinetic energy and more about impending doom. Ooh. And I thought that Ridley Scott did that really well. As soon as you see the first motorcycle just kind of veer into the frame and veer out of it, and you see them walking out of the nightclub and Andy Garcia is really drunk, immediately, even the first time I saw the film, I was like, oh man, this is not going to end well. You can feel darkness approaching.
Yeah.
So it's good. Like he's definitely good. He just sometimes Ridley Scott shoots with, I don't know if he shot with multiple cameras in that film. Sometimes he does that. And I feel that sometimes he has this way of shooting that sometimes work. And sometimes like, I wish it was more single camera storyboarded, even though it is, but it's just the feeling I get when I watch some of his movies, not all of them. That certainly does not happen with Alien or Gladiator or, oh my God, how am I blanking on the name? The one with Matt Damon on Mars. You know, what?
The Martian.
The Martian, duh. Yeah, that's where I just feel that Ridley Styles complement fuels and helps those movies ascend. Whereas this movie, I think he took a mediocre, solid script and was trying to inject his Ridley Scottness into it. And it just doesn't quite work. Even though I love the way it looks, the cinematography is incredible. Like, This is my feeling. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think we can move on to our MVP scene for Black Rain. Ellie, do you have something queued up or?
Yeah. I want to say the very beginning of this movie with the motorcycle was for me the scene that
the motorcycle race in New York.
Yep.
Oh,
I love motorcycles. I love motorcycles, and I used to go watch motorcycle races with my dad, since I was little, and I even tried to ride a motorcycle once when I was 10 years old. So any scene with a motorcycle in it, I'm down.
Very cool. That had a young Luis Guzman in it. Did you everyone notice that?
I noticed. Luis Guzman is everywhere. Like I want to say that Luis has made a fortune out of just being that actor that appears in that always in one scene or two scenes, and but he's a working actor.
There's no way that was his voice. They had to be ADR or something.
I was going to say his voice was so different. I was like, that's not the Luis Guzman voice I know.
No way. Great.
He's probably new to it. That's why he was more. Like,
there's a few character actors that in the beginning here that ended up having bigger careers. Stephen Root is in the beginning of this. We got John Spencer, who was huge in The West Wing. I mean, there's a couple of guys in the beginning here that.
Oh yeah. He was. I saw him, and I half expected Martin Sheen to walk into the room in that scene.
Very cool. Sam, what is your MVP scene? Or MVP moment or anything, MVP of the movie.
Okay, so my MVP scene for Black Rain, I would have to say it would be Andy Garcia's death, just because it's right in the middle of the film. It's very, very memorable, it plant and pays off the previous motorcycle scenes of the gang well. And I just find it tastefully done. And for me, that scene really fires on all thrusters, especially how Michael Douglas is just far behind enough, and the kind of concrete, confusing parking level garage, dark atmosphere they're in. I like how he's cannot get to his friend and he can't save him. And it also pays off. Andy Garcia was having such a good time and he had too much to drink that he's just full of like cocky self-assuredness. And he's like, I'm going to get my passport back no matter what. And he does not see what's going on. But Michael Douglas, in a moment of intuition, is hyper aware of what's going on. Yeah. And it's like tragically, I just feel like that scene fires on all thrusters.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And a different, more twisted director would have made Andy Garcia's head get cut off and roll down the cement and like bang up against the like grate and like be like,
I was waiting for that, but it didn't
they
happen.
went through the whole thing. They had like a whole fake head stuff, and they didn't really use it for the movie. In the behind the scenes documentary for the movie, they showed how they had like a wax head and how they did it, and they went through the whole ordeal where they showed how they sliced the head off, the head rolls down, it landed like head face up looking at the camera. I'm like, yeah, but we don't see that in the movie. It's much more tastefully done in the final cut.
It was tastefully done in the movie. I guess I was reminded of Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade when that blade like chops the guy's head off and he goes, yeah.
Yeah. So my MVP scene is more of an MVP shot because it leads into that moment. It's before that. It's actually right after they leave the nightclub where Nick and Charlie are walking through that abandoned street, and all the signs are lit up in neon and everything is glowing like Times Square. And you can see like half a mile behind them, and it's lit up, all the types of signs. Plus it's got that smoky vibrance to it. It's I think the most striking visual of both of them walking. And it's also heartbreaking because it's just before, something so tragic happens. It's not the most important thing in the movie, but it's just, I think, the most beautiful shot in the movie. And it's just, it could be the poster, actually. And when I think of this movie, I think about that shot for this movie of them walking and all of those neon lights going down like half a mile behind them. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm just going to pick that because it's incredible. And it's all practical. There's no CGI. They actually got everyone just throw all those lights on the street. It's amazing.
I was a random comment in favor of reality, but I was watching a scene from The Color Purple, the Steven Spielberg film, the other night on television, and there's a tracking shot of two people walking in the foreground. Way in the background, there's like explosions happening on a hillside, but they're real. And so they had to coordinate it and time it with the actors, and there's like actual dust flying up in the background. And now they just be like, oh, we can add it in post. And it's like, I miss the craft, Yep.
Oh, the craft that could kill you, you mean?
Well, I mean, that I disagree with that because they could do it safely, but I do miss the craft of filmmaking. If you prefer miserable CGI, that's your problem.
Safety first.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.
Safety first, but the explosion was far away from it. See, the reason it's a non-argument is because it was the way that it was shot, where it's pyrotechnics away from the actors. So, overruled. Let's keep talking, Nathan.
Let's get to...
I still think... No.
And I still think, yes, overruled, as I said.
Sam, I'm a Latina. We don't argue. We win.
Not tonight, you didn't.
Oh, don't. I'm
All
letting
right.
you win.
All right, everyone.
I'm letting you win.
Yeah, well, I'm going to unfriend you on Facebook. How about that? Not going to be in my films.
Everyone heal. Everyone heal. All right.
Nathan's like, everyone heal. Everyone heal.
Just to finish my point, the explosions were far away from actors, and it was actually well considered. So no one was in danger with those pyrotechnics due to the distance. But I do understand and agree with safety first. But what you're saying does not apply to the shot that I was referring to. Have you seen The Color Purple?
I haven't, because it's the one now Steven Spielberg movie that I don't think I have seen, because we debated putting it on our Steven Spielberg.
I saw The Color Purple a long time ago. I can't remember it.
You convinced us not to include it, Sam. I think.
Yeah, probably, but it's more. It's a Disney movie a little bit, but yeah. But it was. I just missed the grit of not just pyrotechnics, but actually doing things in camera over CGI.
Right. All right. I think it's time to get to this.
Something in this field could be releasing the chemical into the air when there's too many of us together.
Don't eyeball me, boy. I see your mother driving up and down the street looking at me. I'll be your stepfather by the week.
It's a bad time, Bob. I'm serious. If I leave now, I'm not coming back.
You ever hear the expression, you got a face only a mother can love?
Let's just stay ahead of the wind.
That means it's time for wall casting, where we take a character from this film and recast them with Mark Wahlberg. So, let's see. Who wants to begin on this? Are we all thinking at the last minute?
I cast him as Sato, the villain.
Oh,
he'd be.
See, I don't want.
Good in that role.
I don't want to do the whole what is the reappropriation, or what do you call it? Where you we can't recast, a Japanese actor with Mark Wahlberg. I feel like that's the wrong thing to do now.
True. But that's be really inappropriate, but it would be humorous.
Yes.
I'm going to cast him as Michael Douglas.
Yeah. Because I think Michael Douglas is kind of miscast. I don't know if Mark Wahlberg is the right guy for this movie.
Well, that's why that's why I'm casting him, because I know that he couldn't bring
it's a different take.
To scream in a way that Douglas did. Imagine Wahlberg trying to yell that way. I don't know. It takes a certain kind of power to do that. And I don't think Wahlberg has it. He's very delicate.
He doesn't get
when
angry.
He speaks. He's very delicate.
Mark Wahlberg doesn't get angry.
That's the only role that he can do, because as Ellie just said, she always wins. So we cannot share our opinions now that she said that.
I win.
I'm surprised.
As you stated before, and we're agreeing with you, so as not to start a war with your inept opinion.
I'm gonna join you with.
I'll come for you, Sam.
It can't be Detective Vincent, because he can't, that doesn't work.
Who's Detective?
No, Andy Garcia.
No.
So I'm going to join you in that. There really is nobody else, unless you want to recast Joyce, Kate Capshaw, which seems to be, tracks for what you've been doing lately, Ellie. But
Mark Wahlberg as a drag queen would be interesting. Yeah.
Mark, are you listening?
Okay.
I know it's hard to cast this one with Mark.
It is, but I think I have to agree that it would be the Michael Douglas character. So, okay, let's move on.
Yeah, let's do it.
And this is the part I've been waiting for all month long. We are going to get to our Film Noir Awards Superlatives Spectacular. Are we all ready for this? Yes. This is what we are ready for this. So what we're doing here, as we did with our Steven Spielberg Awards, we are going to be going through Best Actor, Best Actress, Best Supporting Performance, Best Score, Best Death Scene, Best Wardrobe on a Character, Most 80s Moment, and then finally Best Film from these movies. And the movies that we are selecting from are 1980s American Gigolo, Body Heat from 1981, Body Double from 1984, and Black Rain. And this should be kind of fun. So I'm excited about this. Are we ready, everyone?
Ready as
Yes.
ever been.
Okay, so
if I could I not go first because some of the
yes.
categories I'm not too sure about. I might have to.
Sam,
I'm happy to begin on any of these if you want me to.
Go for it, because I'm gonna switch it up a little bit.
All right, I'm gonna begin. So we're gonna begin with Best Actor in a Leading Role for our film noir, neo-noir spectacular. And I feel like the nominees basically, it comes down to between the four leads in here. We Richard Gere, William Hurt, Craig Wasson, and Michael Douglas. These are the four men that led these movies. And I'm not going with Michael Douglas because I already explained my gripes with him. Craig Wasson, I could not take seriously in Body Double at all. Number one. And I thought William Hurt was really, really good, but Richard Gere, I think, gets the slight nod over William Hurt because he just delivers, I think, such a subtle and nuanced performance. And so much of his performance is just about the physical choices, the hairstyle, the wardrobe, the way he walks. The role of Julian Kay is very complex. And I think it's just as important what Gere doesn't say or do in this film. It's about a man who's struggling with his identity to the point where there's something almost immature and innocent about him. There's something very tragic bubbling underneath. So I loved Richard Gere in American Gigolo, and he is my pick for Best Actor.
Oh, we had to say all this description about it.
I love explaining why I picked my picks. I can't help it.
Oh,
That's the same. It's the same thing we did for Steven Spielberg. Yeah.
Yeah, but Steven Spielberg is Steven Spielberg.
I think that the motorcycle scenes in Black Rain should have been replaced with CGI and CGI actors because of safety first, guys. Safety first.
But AI actors.
I don't know. I think safety first is important, and anything that's not CGI,
CGI and AI actors.
And that's very dangerous that you rode a motorcycle, Ellie, and safety first. I disapprove.
Yeah,
safety
my
first.
dad. When your parents are young, 22 years old, they don't think about these things.
I think it's actually cool that you rode. I actually would like to ride. It's cool that you rode a motorcycle.
My dad. My mom was 9 months pregnant with me, and they fell off the motorcycle, and my mom went rolling down. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Yeah. So I always say, what were you guys thinking?
I've never been on a motorcycle ever.
I like riding. It's much lesser, but I like riding mopeds a lot. They're not motorcycles. I love mopeds. I can't ride an ATV. I hate the way ATVs feel. But
yeah.
My dad's motorcycle was a Honda.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. My brother has a motorcycle too. Oh, used to. No, but
I hear that.
We're motorcycle people. Okay, sorry. Who's your best actor?
Oh, did you guys? Was I supposed to go? I might have frozen for a second. I'll say my best actor is. I would have to agree with Richard Gere just because he had a lot of like nuance. I kind of on board on a similar page with Nathan because even though in Body Double, I liked the main actor. It was just kind of Body
Heat.
Body Heat. Yeah. He was just kind of goofy. I know he was supposed to be a regular man, but like, although as you pointed out, Ellie, the other week, he did a great job with the claustrophobic, like when he was stuck. That was good.
He
was
totally
good acting.
did.
Yeah.
He totally. I felt it.
I felt it too, and I thought Richard Gere did what he did in the role of that kind of like vapid character well. The reason I would have to give it to him over Michael Douglas is because Michael Douglas's character was just too one-dimensional. So I'd give it to best actor to Richard Gere, definitely not to William Hurt. He was fine, but he just was in love with himself and the movie, so I just, that's my opinion.
Great.
All right, I decided to do Best Actor, and it is Richard Gere too. Of all the movies, he's the one that I picked as Best Actor. Worst Actor is gonna be Douglas.
Worst Actor, Michael Douglas.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but
And you've already explained why. That's great. Okay. We're gonna move on to Best Actress. And let me pull up my notes here. So, Best Actress. This wasn't that hard for me because I felt there's only two, and I'm calling this Best Leading Actress. There's really only two leading actresses in these movies. I felt like there's Lauren Hutton in American Gigolo and Kathleen Turner in Body Heat. There really didn't feel like there was a leading female performance in Body Double. We did have Melanie Griffith, but she was more of a supporting role. I classified her as, and in Black Rain, Kate Capshaw. So this for me had to only be Kathleen Turner. There weren't many options for Best Actress in these films. So in my mind, it was a no-brainer. Turner in Body Heat, as Maddie Walker, her character, is a great homage to those 1940s noir classics, especially Barbara Stanwyck, her role in Double Indemnity as Phyllis Dietrichson. Turner is mysterious, cunning, and she's, I think, just written so well. So easy choice for Kathleen Turner for me.
I'd have to say Kathleen Turner as well, because again, the other films, it doesn't really the stories don't have a best actress that shines, or it's like there's Body Heat certainly doesn't have a lot going for it. But I don't choose her I choose her because there's not much to pick from. You know what I mean? And that's it's sad because there should be better.
There should be. It's
representation in those films.
It just happens to be the movies that we picked, unfortunately.
What you picked?
I thought B picked them, but whatever.
Oh, was it B? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had no say, and then no.
Oh, I definitely have no say. As you and
Don't worry, we will have our say, Sam.
We will one day. Revenge is coming.
It's coming. So for me, it's Kathleen Turner, and so because I guess the lack of better actresses, but not just because of that, but because there were moments that Kathleen made me angry. She made me want to punch her. Okay. So if she can do that to me, then that's great. She did a great performance because she was deceiving and took advantage of people. And I just wanted to punch her and say, you know what? You don't do that. So because of that, she gets the Best Actress award.
I love that.
From me.
She made you feel something, and that's
well, she did. And the other actresses that were in the other movie, it was just meh.
Yeah,
whereas Kathleen did, especially when Kathleen is waiting for that first kiss, so dramatic. I was just like, oh, that's it, girl. That's how you play it. Die for it.
Because the other movies, they're all early '80s movies, and they have lower budgets, so they're cheap looking. You know what I mean? They're just at least Black Rain had production value and some sound in it, but those other movies, it's
At least Black Rain has some type of cinematography in it.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, we're gonna do Best Supporting Performance. This was the hardest decision for me because there are a lot of supporting performances to choose from here, and I'm just gonna give shout out to a few that I almost picked that I didn't. I really was close to Bill Duke in American Gigolo, especially, and also Ted Danson Body Heat, and the few others from Black Rain, Andy Garcia and Kate Capshaw. But I went with somebody else from Black Rain as my outstanding supporting performance, and that is Ken Takakura. So
Ken
Takakura,
Takakura was the police officer,
he was
right?
a police officer, Moss. He plays Inspector Moss Matsumoto. Moss, like I said before, he's this by the book cop who has to learn to work with Douglas's reckless, unorthodox style of police work. I just love how his character is portrayed as this man of honor, integrity, but he has compassion to him. And I just like that he has an arc, and he complements this movie. He's the best part of this movie for me. And I really appreciated him in this film. So I am going to give my nod to Ken Takakura for Black Rain.
For me, it's a toss-up between Ken Takakura for Black Rain and Ted Danson. For Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress, I would definitely give to Kate Capshaw in Black Rain, like hands down, because she was like a strong character. You know what? I'm going to give it to Ken as well, because I did not like Ted Danson overdid it with like all those dancing around the frame all the time. If he just stood still, he could have won, but he didn't. So Ken wins.
You blew it, Ted.
Yeah. And actually he didn't, because I know that was part of his character, and I feel bad because I really did like.
That was his choice, though.
Yeah.
Ted Danson has gone on the record saying that all that dancing was his choice to bring that to the character.
And it was a good. I mean, he made the character distinct, and now I feel bad for. So I don't know. I rescind my no comment. Best Supporting Actor, Stan Cole. I failed. Let's go to Ellie. I failed. Yeah.
Well, I'm going with Ken. I think he did an amazing job in this film.
I'm going with Ken too. I like Ken, and now I'm sorry. Yeah.
Ken, because see, for me, he brought it as much as I was painfully getting through that film with Douglas. Ken brought it back to me. I love his character. I love what he stood for. He stood for, the good cop that stands by the book, and really wants to help the bad cop become good, And so I feel Ken did an amazing job. And of all these films that I watched for supporting actors, none of them can come close to what Ken did. Yeah. So
Ken was also like a three-dimensional, like
he
had heart and soul, and like you could
did.
see that he was like visibly hurt when Michael Douglas admitted that he stole money. He was like you
could feel it, and not only that, Sam. I always say that the eyes are the eyes of in any movie. I always look at the eyes of the character or the actor, and it's in those silences that I find the most attractive in any scene with any actor. And to me, any actor that can make me feel something when he or she is in silence, and just through his or her eyes, I'm captivated.
That's impressive, and I especially admire that, because I used to have a heart and soul, but I don't have one anymore. And so I love seeing characters that are still alive on the inside and to have honor inside of them.
Such a goof. But yeah, that's why Ken gets supporting actor. Yeah. Oh, and Kate Capshaw, supporting actress.
Okay. Best score.
God.
I'm just going to say, 1984 was my year for music. And I already was into synth pop and synth rock, and the score for the soundtrack for Body Double by Pino Donaggio appealed to all my sensibilities. Pino Donaggio's score is hypnotic. All the films that we watched, I do enjoy the score on some level. But Body Double his score deals with all these themes of deals with the mystery, suspense, and erotic drama, and all these themes. And Pino's composition I think just does a great job heightening those themes incredibly well. overall, I just feel it's the most cohesive work of all the 4 scores that we heard with these films. And of course, the highlight is the music that is in the scene where Jake Scully is spying on the neighbor. What was it? Telescope, whatever it's called. That is
I had that written down. Yeah. I love that. I played that song over and over again in my car after watching that movie. Like,
yeah. Pino Donaggio for Body Double.
I would give it to Pino Donaggio for Bottle Double just because of that one song that you were just talking about, because it's so distinct. Although second place for me would be Black Rain with Hans Zimmer. It wouldn't win, but just even though it's a little cheesier, it has a kind of melody to it.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's also because I saw the movie when I was a kid and I liked soundtracks a lot then, and so that kind of stuck in my head. But Body Double would win because when it comes to Body Heat and American Gigolo, I cannot remember the music at all. Like, I have no memory of it whatsoever. And I don't mean that in like a dismissive way. I'm just saying that it didn't leave an impression on me the way Body Double's music did, or Black Rain's music did.
Well, on that note,
Body
Sam,
Gigolo was pretty much just a remash of Call Me. Giorgio.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah. It was just
that's right.
A lot of that theme just being reinterpreted in the score. A lot of
that stuff. Yeah, that stuff with him in the car in the beginning was really good. Yeah. Then the movie started, and it was like, oh, yeah.
Well, I like Call Me. I like Blondie, but
yeah.
Yes, Ellie.
They were all horrible. Sorry, that's all.
The scores were horrible?
Sorry. Yes. Each and every one in every movie. Horrible. I do not like any of them. It just, no, it didn't sit well with me.
All bad. Okay, got it.
Yes. Maybe the chimes. Maybe the chimes.
Oh, the wind chimes. Yeah, that was a diegetic with non-diegetic. Was it? What's the word for
body heat? Yeah,
that was body heat. Yeah, that was sound design in the movie. But I do like the.
Yeah, see, maybe that. I'll give it to that. But yeah, I'm like with Sam. I don't really recall the music.
I did. I mean, I guess I liked the music in American Gigolo, but that was like soundtrack. Those were like 80s songs that I liked, but it doesn't count as a score. Like, the composer can't take credit for that, and so like
there was a score in that movie.
Why was it?
Well, remember when Richard Gere was walking down the street and it went wah 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 wah.
Let's move on.
I feel so good. We're engaging in anarchy over here. I feel bad, but
it's time to move on to best death scene. All right, best death scene. I'm going with the death scene of Gloria from Body Double. Gloria's death scene in Body Double. I love the entire sequence. I think there's great tension in this. That's the scene where she is being attacked by we'll call him the indigenous man who is attacking her with a giant drill, and she's cornered in against the wall, but the drill gets unplugged, and then she dies when she's on the ground, and you see that drill go sort of like through her. But then Jack, is it Jack? Yeah, is downstairs, and you see the bloody drill come through the ceiling, but he's being attacked by that dog from hell. It is just this glorious moment. I think it's one of the most unique death scenes I've ever seen in a film. So I have to go with Gloria's death scene from Body Double.
Okay.
I hear that. I was talking about it earlier. I would still have to go, for me personally, with the Andy Garcia's death in Black Rain, because of the setup and the suspense and the powerlessness, how Michael Douglas was cut off from him behind the like guarded rails, even though the actor was trying to rescue her in Body Double, and he just was like, he could have gotten upstairs faster if he had, like, I don't know. So I think for me, the best death scene, I like Andy Garcia's, because it just felt more like tragic.
Yes. Absolutely.
Whereas I liked the deaths. I mean, the other scene was really good. That's the one I'd go with.
I feel like the scene with the woman in her apartment, body double. I feel like I've seen it so many times in like horror films, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, for example. It's like the grueling scene of the woman being killed.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.
But has it ever been done like that?
I've seen it. Think about Saw. I've seen like all Saws, and it's like, what more gruesome? What more gruesome?
But it wasn't
than
gruesome,
Saw?
though. It didn't show anything.
But it was. I did like it when the drill went through the ceiling, because like the coordination of that, like one person had to be on one floor with a microphone, and someone else on the first floor had to say, "Okay, are you ready to do the drill?" Then
No,
they push through, like,
whenever
they had to
I'm
coordinate.
drilling,
That's really hard, you know.
Whenever I'm drilling something, I'm like, okay. But Andy Garcia's death scene for me, because it made me feel sad that he got killed in that way, and I just was really sad because I didn't want him to die, and he died. So yeah.
I felt more emotion to it, but I do agree, Nathan. Like the I like the execution of the death in Body Double. Not no pun intended, but like the way it was done was good. Yeah.
But Andy Garcia's scene of death is more believable than that one in that part.
I have to say, I'm very disappointed in you. After how much you went off on Leon's death in American Gigolo, I thought it was a no-brainer that you were going to pick like Richard Gere holding his boots off the ledge. I thought that was going to be an obvious pick for you.
We didn't get to see Leon. We didn't get to see Leon land on the car. Like, it didn't just cut away. Like, I wanted to see him like cut in, and like I wanted to see like blood drip, like Chevrolet.
All I remember was the boots that he kept holding on his hands. Okay, I give that scene the funniest death scene.
The funniest death scene.
Wait! I did not expect that though.
Wait, you did expect it though. You said you knew he was going off the edge.
I did expect for him to go over to the balcony and fall over. That I knew it was coming. What I didn't know, it was that Richard Gere was going to be holding on to the boots. That caught me by surprise, and I just started cracking up because I was like, "Oh my god!" Just the way Richard Gere, the way his body kind of was against the defense. It was just so funny.
Mark Wahlberg would have fit well into that scene as like a parking attendant if the body like landed on the car, and he was like, "What the f? Whoa, oh!" Like,
yeah, that's true. Oh man!
All right, next category: best wardrobe outfit on any actor in any scene in this series here. I'll go first.
Go first, sir.
I already kind of praised Kate Capshaw in that black backless dress. That was a runner-up. I almost went there. And I almost went with Kathleen Turner in that white dress she's wearing when she meets William Hurt. But I am still going to go back to Richard Gere. Because, and this is a little bit of a cheat here, because this ties into the entire movie. Richard Gere but I'm going with the scene. Richard Gere is preparing his wardrobe for the week, and he's matching up the shirts and the pants and the ties, and he's dancing, and it's like he's choosing the white weaponry for the job. And he's got all these Armani suits laying out on the bed, and all these it's this whole neutral color palette. And it's all the combination of linens and silks and Italian cotton. It's such a wonderful character building moment because he's about his wardrobe. And the outfit he puts on it's nothing flashy. It's a gray suit, gray tie. He's got a few horizontal stripes on it, but he just looks incredible in it. And it's my favorite suit that he wears in the movie. So I'm going with the gray Armani suit that he wears in the beginning, right before Lauren Hutton's character comes to his apartment in American Gigolo.
For me, I honestly, and I was literally had this thought last night while I was watching the movie, I would 100% have to go with Kate Capshaw in Black Rain because of her dress. And I was just like, I enjoyed it. I'll say that.
It's a lot to enjoy. That dress.
Yeah, I'll say that respectfully. Yeah. No, exactly. Exactly. And I mean that in like a respectful manner, but it made an impression where, and I props to Richard Gere too. The white dress to me in Body Heat was not, I mean, it's not about being like a turn on or a turn off, but I just didn't like it. Just that, I don't know. I'd have to go with something about Black Rain.
The
and
white
Kate
dress
Capshaw.
for Body Heat. It's not that it's anything special, but it's just such a movie moment because it's an absolute homage to Barbara Stanwyck in Double Indemnity. That's why I kind of
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's and it's, I mean, and that makes sense. Like, and I totally understand elevating it, and I definitely get that. I think for me, it's just Kate Capshaw made a real impression, and on every level, in that movie. And I just, there's something about the sensibility and her character. I found her much more attractive and more interesting and like sexier than most other characters in the films we watch, and I don't know why.
She had class. She had
class.
Yeah.
She was cool.
Very elegant. Even though the job she had in the movie wasn't so elegant, she made it elegant.
If I like walked up to her and said something dumb, I would be like shut down, as I deserve to be so. You know, she's too cool for me, and I like people that are cooler than I am.
Me?
Because I'm not that cool. Yeah. No, you're very cool, Ellie. You are.
Oh, thank you.
Ellie, what's your pick?
Oh my goodness. Mr. Universe, of course. Who is Mr. Universe, boys?
Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Arnold Schwarzenegger. Ellie, by the way, I want to say to Ellie, you are very cool. If the top coolness level was 2000, Ellie, I would give you a 1998. Ocho!
I can't even with the two of you. You're so dumb. I'm like, Schwarzenegger.
1999. Sorry.
I can't even. Okay. Richard Gere, when he's at the window, you know, that famous.
He's not wearing anything.
Exactly.
Oh.
My favorite suit is the no suit at all. It's the birthday suit.
Birthday suit. Got it.
I mean, did you see that physique? I mean, come on. Just
got it.
I'm talking about the physique of the body, you know.
Yes.
Okay.
Very scientific.
My physique is very, very different because I could fit all of Richard Gere in my gut. You know.
Shut up. You cracked me up.
Right. We got just a couple more categories to get through here. This should be a fun one. Most 80s moment.
All right.
I am going to go with the first crime scene at the nightclub in Black Rain. This it begins inside when they find the body, and then it extends outside. This is a great scene. At the time in the film, both Detective Conklin and Detective Vincent are being escorted around by Moss as strictly observers. And they go to the crime scene at the nightclub. Immediately, Conklin and Moss are butting heads, and they're these kind of cheesy one-liners that are really being thrown out, in the sequence. Douglas's Detective Conklin decides to talk to the hostess, Joyce, played by Kate Capshaw. And when Moss inquires if he learned anything from Conklin, but because Conklin isn't happy with the fact that he's designated to be an observer, he's not sharing anything. Instead, he insults Moss, calling him a suit and not a real cop. I just love this exchange. It felt like pure 80s cop film dialogue in all of this moment. It is just, it's tropey, but it's just like I said earlier, 80s cop movie. Like, I'm going to do it my way because that's how we do it in New York. And he just has this dumbfounded look like, what did you learn? And I can't do a Japanese accent. And he just has like this look like, what just happened? So I love it. And it's just pure like 80s magic dialogue.
I hear that. It's a tough one for me because I really like the scene in Black Rain when Sato comes into the restaurant at the very beginning and kills those guys. But that scene to me feels like an early 90s.
Yeah.
Like early 90s, like
the mafia.
Like mafia. It feels like 1990. Yeah. It's got that like early 1990s action movies have a very like high body count for extras where like a lot of peripheral people get like shot or killed and like no one cares. Like literally in Total Recall, like Schwarzenegger uses the guy getting shot as a shield as he's going up an escalator, and the guy like has the deathiest death, and they're just like, all right, let's get him out of the way so the chase can go on. It's really hard. I'm trying to pick a Black Rain moment. The reason why I say Black Rain is because the other movies like Body Double and Body Heat, because they're directed by like, they have more auteur style directing that doesn't necessarily scream 80s because they would do their own genre no matter what the decade it was. For me, I guess the best 80s moment would be in Black Rain, but there's so many moments. I actually have trouble. It's hard for me to categorize because there's 80s music and there's 80s things in the other films, but the tropes don't necessarily scream 80s, where Nathan, you're right. Like Black Rain is a hardcore late 80s, almost 90s cop movie, but like, maybe it's 80s. Again, it feels 90s, but I would say I would pick Sato like on the plane when like the fake cops come to take him off. And he's like, he points his gun at Michael Douglas and he's like, Phew. I love that like angry, like testosterone, like anger where it's like funny.
I love that explain scene when Michael Douglas does this and just kicks
he just elbows him in the face. Yeah.
That's the thing. The movie is so like, it's like pig-headedly.
It's so
80s.
unapologetic.
Like, the movie like headbutts you with it's like, and so
it's like he's going all out. It doesn't matter. He's gonna do it.
I feel like Black Rain, the whole movie, like it wins 80s tropes because it is so it's like as tropey as it can be. And I kind of enjoyed that because it was like fun and comforting to see an 80s action movie.
What's tropey, by the way?
Movie cliches.
Like cliche,
okay.
like a thing you would expect from that genre, and like Black Rain does it like aggressively so throughout.
How do you spell that word, tropey?
TROPE, is it?
Yeah, trope, and then a Y if you want to do like tropey.
Tropey.
Yeah, trope.
Okay. I like learning new words.
Not to be confused with trippy, because that's when you're doing drugs.
Well, I do know what trippy is.
Because drugs are bad, and you shouldn't do them. People watching
quit
this.
tripping me, Sam. Okay, it's a slang word.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it's a slang. It actually is a real word.
Yeah, it is. I'm looking it up right now. Yeah.
Ellie,
so Sam, or mine. So I don't think I understood the assignment. But I picked for a most 80s moment the scene in Body Double where everybody's wearing that neon 80s outfits and brought me back to my 80s times. And Frankie
Yeah.
Goes to
Oh,
Hollywood
the
is
music
singing.
video scene. Yes, I'm so glad somebody picked that. Yeah.
Yeah. Relax. Don't do it. That is such an 80s icon.
That was my runner-up.
I forgot about that. And honestly, American Gigolo has very 80s moments in it. I kind of blanked on that. I apologize. But yeah.
Yeah, to me that's like the colors of everyone was wearing at that moment is significant of that era. So yeah.
And Jake Scully is wearing what looks like an outfit from Revenge of the Nerds or something. Like it's great.
Yeah, that was so cool.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Great. All right. Last category, big finale, best film. I'll go first. I'll just say it. First, I just want to say, personally, I had a great time this month watching these 4 films.
Of course you did.
Not just watching these, but really delving deep into them, comparing them, discussing these on the podcast. It's the most fun I've had all year talking about these 4 films. Even the films that weren't my favorite, and I learned something about them and these 4 legendary directors behind them. I'm kind of bummed that this is ending, but I hope that we can maybe agree to return to film noir genre respective, maybe next November. We'll talk about it. But my pick for best film, though, is Body Heat. I think it's the strongest entry of the 4 films we watched. I'm a fan. I'm a fan of larger than life characters in pulpy storylines. And Body Heat was the film that I found myself having the most fun with. I think it's the film that is the most focused, has the most focused vision of what it wants to do, what it wants to be. It checks the most boxes for me as well as far as performances, especially the entire cast, the supporting cast in it. I think is great. It's just got an incredible ensemble. The production design, what they were able to do to convey a hot, sweaty Southern Florida town during a cold winter. I love this film. And as I said a few episodes ago, this is probably now maybe my top 20 or so from the 80s. So yes, this easily gets my vote as best film for our Noir-Vember retrospective.
It's difficult for me because it's hard. It's a sort of struggle between choosing which film I'm most entertained by and which movie I acknowledge as the best movie
Sam,
in that
don't
genre.
worry. Ellie's going to be like, what film did she hate the least?
I guess
you know.
I guess you have a really good point there, Nathan, and I guess it would have to go to Body Heat because of the focus, because
I'm defeated.
It is the genre, and it does succeed in that genre. And even though I personally enjoy watching Black Rain more, I'm aware of Black Rain's narrative shortcomings. I guess I would have to pick Body Heat as.
By the way, I want
best.
to distinguish this. When I say best film, I don't want you. It's just like best film versus favorite film. This just can be whatever you want to put in this spot here.
But I think when you say best film, it's what's the best movie of that group, and technically, I think it is the best movie of that group, even though I would not watch it in a hotel room over Black Rain. If there were 2 channels and Black Rain was on one of them, I would watch Black Rain, and because it's more entertaining. But just because I'm entertained by it, I'm just one person, and what it's really about is what is the ultimate winner from the collective hive mind of genetic memory and talent. And I guess in that genre heat, I guess Body Heat has to win out over a commoner like me who's entertained by his commoner things. So yay, Body Heat.
Okay.
So for me, best film. First of all, I'm glad that I got to watch these films because it teaches me that there are films out there that I could care less for. Anyway, so so thinking about the best film for these 4 films that I watched, I have to say, none of them. No, there is one that I'm gonna pick, and it's not because of anything else. Because, by the way, all the scripts in these films are like cheesy Cheetos. Anyway, the romance is cheesy Cheetos. Yeah. So, and then Body Heat. Aside the fact that I'm very impressed with how they created the heat, in those scenes. I thought it was a slow moving film. And I only started actually enjoying the Noir-Vember film when Body Double came to the scene. And that's because it got my interest, because I wanted to know what was going to happen to this dude. And because I thought it was really funny. There were funny moments where like he grabs the underwear out of the trash barrel.
It had a lot of energy to it. Yeah,
it does. And where he gets like, police doesn't understand that there's somebody in trouble, or he's running out the street and runs into 2 runners, and it's like, come, somebody's getting killed. His timing is awful because obviously he doesn't get there in time. And it just for all I picked Body Double because, yeah, it was horribly done but entertaining out of the 4. So yeah.
Great.
I hear that. It was hard for me to pick because I respect film noir, even though it's a genre that I'm not as like emotionally drawn to, and so I don't know. It's really, it was difficult for me to choose, and I'll just stick with my opinion because I know I'm too flippant and stuff with other stuff. But it's hard to.
We gotta do space stuff. I think I've like Interstellar or something like that because I freaking love that. But
I'll discuss Interstellar anytime.
But I could. Oh my god! Right. But I could do Noir-Vember again if it's like maybe the 1940s.
I'm game. When we return to Noir-Vember, I don't think it'll be 80s again. I think we would do it another era, another style of it,
Maybe 50s,
absolutely.
even 50s, 50s, 60s, 40s.
Yeah.
I'd be down for another era for sure.
We'll get to that when we get to it.
Yeah.
Okay, so that is our Film Noir, Noir-Vember Awards segment. We've been going kind of long, so we are going to wrap up this week's episode. Next week, we are starting a whole new retrospective series. I'm really excited about this. It is going to be subversive holiday films, not holiday comedies, but I guess they are kind of comedies, but holiday films. We're going to be doing that this December. We're going to be starting off with Bad Santa. I'm really looking forward to this. So this should be a lot of fun. Ellie, excited that we're getting away from the film noir genre. Yes, you are. Yes. This will be a lot of fun. Sam, we're going to miss you. You're going to be taking I think a couple weeks off.
I don't have then I won't have no one to rival with.
I appreciate the kindness towards me. I will be back. I will return, just working on my Walks of World show, but I will definitely return, and then we can get back to discussing the meaning of life, Ellie.
Okay. Okay.
1998, 1999, 2000.
My Spanish is not that good.
No, Nathan is like.
I said 1998, 1999, 2000. That's what I did.
Was this like from the Prince song?
No, I just love, like, I just remember I number, yeah, but yeah, true. 2000. Now we're out of time. Or party's over. Yeah. I actually heard that song when it turned New Year's Eve 1999, and I had a very boring New Year's Eve in a parking lot, but the song was good. Yeah.
All right. Well, that concludes our show this week. We appreciate your listenership. And as a final reminder, if you're enjoying what you hear, please consider leaving a rating and review. I'm serious, people. If you're listening to us, go on to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you are listening to us, and leave those ratings. It really is helpful to us. To stay updated, please don't forget to subscribe to our monthly newsletter, Frame Rate Monthly, by sending an email to backtotheframerate@gmail.com. Back to the Frame Rate is a proud member of the Weston Media Podcast Network. I should also mention that we are also on Facebook and Instagram. We're also on TikTok now. We have a TikTok account. Yay. I've uploaded a couple of videos that now have about 100 plays on them. So we are.
Wait, who created that? Did you?
I did, yes. And it's
finally.
all, you can find us at Back to the Frame Rate. We also have our YouTube page where we have new video content that is going up there every single week. And of course, the most effective way to support us is by sharing our episodes and our content on your social media platforms.
Oh, powerful TikTok, was he? Powerful TikTok.
That is it. The show is over.
How do I survive this group? I have no idea how I survived this group.
Back to the frame rate we must go.
Goodbye.
Bye.
I want you to know it's over.
Well, bye.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.
This is where projects come to life. Our showrooms are designed to inspire with the latest products from top brands, curated in an inviting, hands-on environment, and a team of industry experts to support your project. We'll be there to make sure everything goes as planned, from product selection to delivery coordination. At Ferguson Bath, Kitchen, and Lighting Gallery, your project is our priority.
Schedule your showroom consultation and see more from brands like Monogram at build.com/Ferguson.